Hi everyone! In this video I'm showing you how the 15 preset FX unit function for the OneForAll mapping that operate the F1 control from native instruments on your Traktor software. In my previous video I introduced the OneForAll mapping with all the functions and how you can use this mapping as a deck controller for your DJ performance. Now we're going to dive into the specific use of the OneForAll mapping as a device to manipulate your sound using the Traktor FX units. Before we jump into this topic, a little disclaimer. In this video I'm using a lot of technical and boring terms to describe how the system works together. To make it less confusing, let me clarify a few things first. In total, the Traktor software provides up to 4 FX units that can be used at the same time. The FX unit can group up to 3 effects, all sharing the same attributes, like the outputs being controlled by one pad or the dry-wet knob being controlled by one knob. The preset FX unit is a unit that contains up to 3 predefined effects. In this way you can easily select your preferred FX using the F1 control. Okay, let's wrap things up. I don't want to go into detail how every effect manipulates and shapes the sound, but for your general understanding we need to know what the terms input and output mean. In the case of the FX units it's quite simple. Input is the audio material that feeds the FX unit, and output is what the FX unit sends out, the sound effect. And now you know. Basically there are 2 ways to control your FX unit. The intuitive, by using the faders combined with the knobs, or the more precise way by operating in the effect menu and using only the knobs and buttons. Not only if you compare these 2 methods, but also if you compare different FX units. The adjustment of these parameters varies. This means there's no general rule defining which control performs which action. The only way to learn how to use your effects is by trial and error. Shaping the sound so it has the effect you intend requires a lot of patience. The kind DJs used to have when it was hard work to mix 2 tracks together. There's a great variety in controlling your effects. And because of that, I'm going to show you all the functions of the FX unit separately. Let's choose the first preset FX unit. To do so, we open its menu by pressing the pad 5 in the performance menu. Once opened, you can choose one of the 8 preset FX units by pressing pad 9 to 16. Selecting a pad with a different color will not only change the effects in the FX unit, but the color of the selected FX unit will also be displayed on the pad linked to the FX menu. The first preset FX unit is assigned to the red pad and contains the gator effect. The gator effect unit is a single FX unit. This means we can adjust 3 effect parameters in the FX menu. Take a look at the effect section next to the global section in your Traktor program. One thing you need to know is that for every preset unit it is necessary to take a snapshot with the parameters adjusted correctly. If you miss the step, literally anything can happen when you enable the FX unit. Check out my video on how to set up your OneForAll mapping to learn how to take a snapshot of every FX unit and to save every effect parameter in the computer. Let's check out how to manipulate the sound of the gator effect using the fader and knob that are linked to the certain FX unit. When operating the performance menu, the first knob or fader is adjusted to the first FX unit. Since we selected the gator effect, the knob functions as the dry-wet control. When the knob is turned to the left, there won't be any effect. Turn it clockwise and you will receive a steady increase in the effect. Here, the fader increases the rate of the effect. The higher the rate, the higher the frequency of the gated sequence. Let's go into the effect menu. In this menu, every parameter can be controlled by using the 4 knobs on the F1. The first knob always controls the dry-wet amount on the FX unit. So therefore, we regard the next 3 knobs as the actual effect knobs 1 to 3. What do the effect knobs 1 to 3 do? In the gator effect menu, the first knob adjusts the amount of hissing noise. The second knob adjusts the shape of the gator. And the third knob adjusts the rate of the gator. When opening the effect menu, you have 4 orange pads in the first row. The first pad enables or disables the FX unit. The next 3 pads control the binary effect parameters 1 to 3. The functions of the effect buttons are as follows. Button 1 resets the effect parameters to the saved snapshot. Button 2 mutes the effect so you can only hear the noise. Button 3 sets the rate to 3/16 to produce the stutter effect. Now you have seen all the actions related to the gator effect. But there are many more effects to talk about. Let's open the menu of the second FX unit by pressing the pad 6 in the performance menu and loading the preset effect by pressing the fuchsia pad. The pad of the selected FX unit will also change to fuchsia, indicating that the preset FX unit is assigned to the second FX unit. This preset unit contains a single effect, the delay. In the effect menu, besides the dry-wet control, you can use the knobs in order to adjust the filter, which enables a low-pass and high-pass filter on the delay. the feedback making the effect stronger and more powerful. And the rate of the delay. What about the effect buttons? Besides the pad to enable or disable the unit, button 1 resets the unit to the saved parameters. Button 3 enables stereo spread, which creates an offset between the left and the right channel. Or in the words of Native Instruments, giving the effect a special depth. Button 2 enables freeze mode. This allows only the wet signal to pass while cutting off fresh input. The last input sequence will repeat itself forever if the filter is fully turned to the left, or progressively less if the filter is turned clockwise. Be aware that when freeze mode is enabled, the dry wet knob has no effect. However, you can still adjust the rate and the filter. In the regular setup, the delay effect acts in freeze mode. When the snapshot is saved correctly, the delay will repeat the last sequence as soon as you enable the FX unit by pressing the little pad at the bottom of the F1 control. Just like the knobs and faders, the first pad is linked to the first unit and so on. Before applying the delay in the freeze mode, set the rate by using the fader in the performance menu. Since the delay is loaded in the second FX unit, the second fader will do the job. Let's continue with the auto bouncer, which can only be controlled in the effect menu. The auto bouncer repeats a 1-beat snippet for a certain amount of time, depending on the pattern that is selected. There are 10 patterns available. Select patterns 0 to 4 using the third effect knob, and press button 3 to access 5 additional patterns.
Just like I feel, 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 just like.
Turning the second effect knob from the center to the left increases repetition. Turning it to the right decreases the repetition. You can also increase or decrease the transposition of the snippet using the first effect knob, which will pitch the key up or down.
I feel just like I feel, 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 just like.
And then the second button duplicates the intensity of the repetition. Let's continue with the fourth preset FX unit and load it in the fourth FX unit. This unit contains a high-pass and low-pass filter. Just like the classical Pioneer mixer, both filters are combined into one map. When the knob is centered, there is no effect. Turning it counterclockwise cuts the frequency from high to low. Turning it clockwise cuts the frequency from low to high. In the effect menu, it is the third effect knob that controls this filter. In the performance menu, it is also the linked knob that works the same way. The fader will adjust the resonance to make this filter sound more powerful. We've now covered the first 4 preset FX unit. I hope you aren't too much overwhelmed. Be aware that you don't have to remember everything at once. Useful knowledge comes by time, so there's no need to stress yourself. The 5th preset unit is a group unit that contains 3 effects: the slow stretch, the fast stretch, and the SERP effect. Button 1 to 3 enable each effect individually. FX unit with group effects may not allow control over every parameter, but in this unit each effect has only one parameter. These effects are easiest to understand when demonstrated in a looped audio file. In the performance menu, the knob controls the parameter of the fast stretch effect. The fader will adjust the dry wet amount. I like to use this effect for transition and build-ups to create this better sound that sends you to the next dimension. In the same way I've used the knob and fader for the fast stretch, it is also possible to control the slow stretch and the SERP effect when enabled. The next 2 FX units contain 3 effects each, forming effect rows. One sounds warmer, the other one more direct. Both include reverb and are ideal for build-ups or fading out tracks. Preset FX units 6 and 7 are best controlled in the performance menu, using the knob for dry wet and the fader for parameter control. Let's listen to how all of these effects sound together when combined. Okay, I think it's quite impressive, and I find this tool super useful when combined with the turntable to make some powerful scratches or spinbacks. The next preset FX unit contains the flanger and the phaser, which create this well-known spatial sound. And there's the ring modulator. The ring modulator multiplies high-frequency signals on the soundtrack to make this really harsh and metallic sound. Now I showed you 8 preset FX units and how to control them, but there are 7 more preset FX units to choose from. Those effects represent additional sound manipulation that may be interesting for some of you. When holding Shift in the effect menu, you can select the gator, the delay, or the auto bouncer to unlock these advanced effects. After pressing the gator effect while holding Shift, you can select the big tractor reverb by pressing the first pad. Press reverse to operate in the effect menu. Here it is possible to adjust the input frequencies by turning effect knob 1 for the low pass filter and knob 2 for the high pass filter. Turn the third knob to adjust the size of the effect. You also have a freeze mode on the reverb that will close the input without pausing the track when pressing the second effect button. Back in the performance menu, you can adjust the dry wet amount with the knob and in or decrease the size of the reverb with the fader. I like to enable this reverb by pressing the pad of the FX unit while holding Shift. Press again while holding Shift to disable the effect. Also make sure that the little pad of the FX unit is enabled. In this way you can not only en or disable the reverb, but every FX unit. Another hidden gem are the different delay effects. In the effect menu, press the delay effect while holding Shift to unfold 3 more delay effects. The tape delay, the ramp delay and the delay T3. The handling of the tape delay doesn't differ too much from other delays, except that the third knob will increase the speed instead of the rate. Also button 3 lets you activate a higher acceleration of the effect. Just as with the delay effect, you have the freeze mode button that will set the dry wet signal to the wet end and endlessly play the last delayed signal. In this mode, it is still possible to use the speed knob and the filter knob. The next delay effect you can choose is the ramp delay. Here you can also adjust the speed of the delay by using the third knob. So it's similar as the tape delay, but with the difference that the speed of the delayed sequence isn't adjusted directly, but after a defined time. You can adjust the time how fast the delay will reach the attributed speed by turning the second effect knob. Use the first knob as a high and low pass filter to bypass the output signal. Just like every delay effect, the second button en or disables the freeze knob. The third button will directly set the feedback to 90%. The last effect to choose from is the delay T3. That will do just like the normal delay, but sounds a bit more powerful. Additionally, the third button will enable FreeOne that will disable the quantized for the delayed output. So, enabling FreeOne and adjusting the size of the delay will result in sudden skips in pitch and rhythm. Now you know how to manipulate the sound with the different delay effects. There are still 3 more effects I like to use when shaping my sound. By pressing the auto bouncer effect pad while holding Shift in the effect menu, you will unfold the bouncer effect, the transpose stretch, and the turntable effects. Select the bouncer by choosing the first pad. The bouncer is the same effect as the auto bouncer, but there are no defined patterns. So, the snippet of one beat will repeat itself endlessly if the second effect button is disabled, or for 2 beats if the second button is enabled. In the second case, a new snippet is repeated after 2 beats. You can adjust the speed of the snippet by turning the third effect knob. Also, there's a low pass filter you can adjust by turning the second effect knob from the right end to the left end. Turn the first knob from the mid end to pitch the transposition of the snippet. And next we have the transpose stretch. When applying, the first knob will time stretch an endless loop of 4 beats as soon as the knob is turned from the left end to the right. When turning the knob clockwise, the loop will be stretched until it remains on one single When the effect is disabled, pressing the third effect button will set the loop size to 8 beats. When enabling the second effect button, you can adjust the size of the crane. Turn counterclockwise and increase the density, and turn clockwise to decrease the density. Press the first effect button in order to set the parameters to the saved status. The last hidden effect is the turntable FX. You can use the N or disable button to stop the track, just like with the vinyl turntable. Then activate it again and the record will begin to turn. The third knob will adjust the speed of the turntable accelerator. When you press the third effect button, the turntable will not only stop playing, but start playing the track in reverse while accelerating the tone. The second button will start a rock that can be adjusted with the first effect knob controlling the amount, and the second effect knob controlling the speed of the rock motion. Okay, now you know. When you start adapting the functions of the OneForAll mapping into your workflow, take it easy. Focus on the actions you have mastered, and let the advanced skills tempt you after some time. Because one thing is sure, this mapping won't get boring. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'm looking forward to receive your feedback. If you're missing an effect, leave a comment or contact me for a custom OneForAll mapping. Use effects creatively, but avoid overmodulation. Watch your levels, protect your sound system, and don't harm the crowd.